September is almost here, and that means video game releases are really gonna start heating up. August was okay, but heading into September, this is where it's really gonna heat up, and then when you talk about October, November, new consoles, big games, it's gonna be all here. And in today's video, I want to highlight 13 of the big games that are hitting the PlayStation 4 in the month of September. So without further ado, let's get right into it, and let's start off with a banger. Let's start off with arguably the biggest game of September, and that is, of course, Marvel's Avengers, beta running right now. And honestly speaking, from a personal standpoint, I was not that excited for Marvel's Avengers. Some of the gameplay looked a little bit iffy to me, but playing the beta, my opinion of this game has completely shifted. This is going to be a very enjoyable game. If what I played in the beta is going to be realized into the full game and they can provide an engaging full package, I think this is going to be a really good one. Obviously, a lot of controversy surrounding the game recently with all the Spider-Man stuff going on. Spider-Man is going to be an exclusive part of the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 version of the game. Won't be at launch, but it will be coming sometime in early 2021. Along with that, you will be getting a free upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version if you so do decide to pick up a PS5. So that's pretty exciting on that end. I don't really agree with the exclusivity stuff, but honestly, that would be beating a dead horse at this point. This game, I think, is going to turn out to be really good, and Avengers is going to be an IP and a game that is already going to have a level of hype and interest surrounding it just for what it is. So Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix, they really need to deliver something of quality here, and I think they are going to do just that when the game does drop on September 4th. Next up, the heavy hitters continue. Mafia is getting remade with the Mafia Definitive Edition. Now, this is not going to be just your willy-nilly remaster. This is an upgrade on the game. This is a legit remake and part one of the Mafia crime saga 1930s Lost Haven, Illinois, remade from the ground up with a new game engine, an updated script, new cutscenes, additional gameplay sequences, and more. You'll rise through the ranks of the Italian Mafia during the Prohibition era of organized crime. After a run-in with the mob, cab driver Tommy Angelo is thrust into a deadly underworld. Initially uneasy about falling in with the crime family, Tommy soon finds that some rewards are too big to pass up. Of course, Mafia was a classic back in the day. Mafia 2 was excellent as well. We got a definitive edition of that. Was a little bit rocky. Mafia 3 not quite as good as Mafia 1 and 2, but to go back and play the original Mafia, that is going to be incredibly exciting, and that will be dropping on September 25th, so be on the lookout for that one. Next up, another game that is coming back and one that I've wanted for a long time. My complaining finally paid off because Kingdoms of Amalur, baby, is back with Kingdoms of Amalur Ray Reckoning. Not a big fan of the name, but who cares about that? Kingdoms of Amalur was an awesome game that released back in 2012, I believe, and this game was excellent, man. It was an open-world RPG that was combined with, like, Devil May Cry style gameplay. Yeah, it was fast, it was engaging, and it was a ton of fun to play, and now the hit RPG returns remastered with stunning visuals and refined gameplay. Re-Reckoning delivers intense, customizable RPG combat inside a sprawling game world. Build the ideal character for the most intense combat, choosing from a countless combinations of skills, abilities, weapons, and pieces of armor. The revolutionary Destiny system allows you to continuously evolve your character class to your style of play, seamlessly integrate magical and melee attacks as you take on scores of enemies in grand fight sequences and finish them off with brutal fate shift kills. And yes, there are some brutal kills in this game. If you're the kind of person that you are turned off by RPGs sometime because of their slow-paced nature regarding the combat, KOA completely flips that notion on its head. It plays like, again, Devil May Cry. Think God of War 1 and 3. It's that stylish and satisfying of an action game, and with Ray Reckoning, it's going to make the game even better. Can't wait to see a new group of players be able to experience this awesome game. Unfortunately, didn't do commercially well enough to ever, justify a sequel, but at this point, getting a chance to play the game again, that's exciting enough, and it will be dropping on September 8th, so be on the lookout for that. That's one that you absolutely do not want to miss. Next up, okay, let's keep it going with the remakes and remasters. Another one people have been clamoring for a long time. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Okay, so this is coming back. Drop back in with the most iconic skateboarding games ever made. Play the fully remastered Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Pro Skater 2 games in one epic collection, rebuilt from the ground up in incredible HD. So again, your definition of remaster may vary, but this is rebuilt from the ground up, so definitely more than just a typical remaster. And when you look at the side-by-side comparisons, yeah, it's night and day. Break skateboarding boundaries, show off your own style, and be part of the next generation of skaters and creators with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Drop back in with the most iconic skateboarding games ever made. Play the fully remastered Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 games in one epic collection. Skate as legendary Tony Hawk and the full pro roster. Skate to songs from the era-defining soundtrack, and the soundtrack is gonna be authentic here. Hit insane trick combos with the iconic handling of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. Play all the original game modes and go head-to-head with local 2-player mode. Show off your creative style and creativity with upgraded creative park and creative skater features. Take your sessions online and compete against players from around the world in multiplayer modes and leaderboards. This one, I'm super excited to give another shot to. September 4th is when you're going to be able to pick up that, so yeah, September 4th is shaping up to be a pretty notable day with Avengers and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Next up, want to give a shout to Doraemon Story of Seasons. This is pretty big over in Japan, available on PC right now with a very positive reception. Japan's adored Doraemon meets Story of Seasons in this fresh new take on farming, now available on Steam but coming to PlayStation 4 next month. The setting is Natura and the theme is creating bonds. While doing so, enjoy the heartwarming interactions through each character in this story. This one's got a very charming art style that's going to be very engaging to players of all ages, and I think you're going to be able to find some enjoyment out of it. Obviously, farming games these days, a little bit in the news cycle, but you'll be able to build a farm and raise horses and cattle like in other Story of Seasons game, but there's a lot more to do on top of that. Priced at $49.99 on Steam, so it is a relatively expensive game, but I think you're overall going to really enjoy the title when it does drop on September 4th. So yes, another game dropping on September 4th, so that is going to be a heavy day if you're trying to pick up everything. Alright, next up, Iron Harvest. This is a game that I've been looking forward to for quite a while, been following it for a few years now. It's an alternate history real-time strategy game with mechs and obviously an emphasis in war, a classic real-time strategy game with an epic single-player campaign, multiplayer co-op, and set in an alternate reality of 1920s. Iron Harvest is going to be a game where tradition clashes with scientific and technological progress while Europe is still recovering from the brutal battles of the World War. Cities are being rebuilt, and in the countryside, the era of the Iron Harvest begun. Farmers are uncovering the remains of the majestic walking machines that had fought on battlefields of the Great War. In the midst of this chaos, a new threat appears that will put Europe's very existence at risk. Secret forces are putting everything they can towards a destabilization of entire countries, determined to set the world on fire once again and finally seize control. Gonna be $49.99. September 1st is the release date, so this is gonna be kicking off September with a bang. Very much looking forward to that one. Alright, next up we have Okunoka Madness. I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation, but this looks to be a great platformer with an awesome art style. I can't put my finger on it, but it's really reminding me of something kind of like Rayman Legends. I'm getting a little bit of Rayman Legends visual style vibe here, but test your reflexes and coordination with more than 100 levels to complete and 3 speedrun modes. Do you have what it takes? This is coming from Ignition Publishing, so over 100 levels. Let's see what the game is priced at, but it will be coming September 8th, so be on the lookout for that one. Alright, next up we have Spelunky 2. This is a pretty big one. Spelunky 2 builds upon the unique randomized challenges that made the original a roguelike classic, offering a huge adventure designed to satisfy players old and new. Meet the next generation of explorers as they find themselves on the moon searching for treasure and missing a family. Spelunky obviously was a pretty notable game years ago, and now it's getting a follow-up title, and this is going to be one that I think a lot of people are going to have some interest in. It will be dropping September 15th, so again, be on the lookout for that one. Next up, here's one that's really going under the radar, but it looks great. Necromunda Underhive Wars. Deep below the hive cities of Necromunda, lead customizable and grow your gang in the twisted tunnels of the dystopian Underhive. Face rival gangs in tactical gunfights for power, wealth, survival, and honor. This one is shaping up pretty nicely. Lead and evolve your gangs in a compelling tactical RPG. Follow a rich narrative campaign in the Underhive. Engage in immersive and persistent game modes. First video game adaptation from mythical tabletop games Necromunda, the most famous hive world of Warhammer 40k. Play solo or join thrilling 4-way online gang fights, so gonna have a couple of layers to its gameplay as well. Gonna be priced at $40, and it will be coming from Rogue Factor and publisher Focus Home Interactive. This one drops on September 8th. Next up, we have 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, which this is a game coming from Vanillaware and being published by Atlas. I am a big fan of Vanillaware. Loved Muramasa the Demon's Blade. I loved Dragon's Crown Pro. Loved Odin's Sphere. All of their games are really good and employ a very similar art style that is so different than everything else on the market. And now Vanillaware, the storytellers behind the aforementioned games, craft a sci-fi mystery epic spanning 13 intertwining stories. Uncover the truth and delve into a 2D side-scrolling adventure featuring gorgeous art and environments, then battle the kaiju in fast-paced top-down combat. So if you're familiar with Vanillaware's games, you know that this is quite a bit different, being that it's employing this interesting gameplay while also having the authentic and great Vanillaware art style. So it's a combination that I am incredibly excited for. I'm hoping for the best out of this one, and it will be dropping on September 22nd, so definitely have your eyes open for that. If you're a fan of Vanillaware, one game that I don't think you'll want to miss. Next up, we have Inertial Drift, which this looks to be a pretty cool racing game. Forget everything you know about drifting. Inertial Drift tears up the racing rulebook with innovative twin-stick controls, completely reimagined driving mechanics, and a roster of fiercely individual cars. Really like the art style of the game, definitely different than every other racing game on the market. Does have a really, really cool, kind of like a comic book art style. I don't know if that's the right verbiage to describe the game, but definitely looks unique on that, and it's definitely not a, racing simulator per se, or at least not the simulators that you're probably familiar with, like a Gran Turismo, but you've got 16 individual cars, 20 demanding tricks, it's set in a 90s retro future, bold and distinctive environment, single-player story mode, perfect your craft through a mix of races, head-to-heads, time trials, and style showdowns, and then you got local multiplayer on top of it all. This is one that's not getting a lot of attention, but I wanted to bring some notable attention to it, so you guys are aware that it's coming out. September 11th is when this one's going to drop, so be on the lookout for that one. Might be one that ends up surprising a lot of people. Next up, do want to mention the Outer Worlds Peril on Gorgon is coming out next month, and this will be the DLC for the Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds, a great RPG done by Obsidian. Unfortunately, Obsidian has been acquired by Microsoft, so their games will not be dropping onto PlayStation in the near future. At least that's what I would expect, unless Microsoft works out some sort of crazy deal, but Avowed probably not coming to PS4 or PS5. However, we do have Outer Worlds getting some DLC, and they did note we wanted to make sure players could feel like this is a part of their existing adventure. We don't try to lock the player into the location or anything like that, and we made it for players at level 25 plus, and having opportunities for those folks to grow and get some cool stuff out of this deal is important for us. If you haven't played Outer Worlds, I thought it was a great RPG, a little bit shorter than most of your RPGs, but look, I love concise games that get to the point, and I thought Outer Worlds did a really good job of just getting to the point and offering you a quality experience in the time frame that it took place in, and I thought it was very enjoyable on that end. The expansion for Outer Worlds will be dropping on September 9th. And lastly, I want to give a shout to Ari and the Secret of Seasons. Take control of the seasons and use them to solve puzzles, defeat enemies, and discover the beautiful world of Valdi in an award-winning indie adventure. So this is going to be an adventure game with a little bit more of a charming art style that's catered towards all audiences. Gives me some vibes of like a Concrete Genie, which that was a game I really enjoyed, and if this is kind of like that, I think it's going to be one that a lot of people do enjoy. Nevertheless, this is a game that should be on your radar, and it will be dropping on September 1st. And those are all the games that are coming out in September that I wanted to mention. There are a couple of other games, NBA 2K21, which if you've been following this channel, you've heard me crap on quite a bit with all the PS5 stuff. WWE Showdown, which I don't know how well that's going to turn out, but nevertheless, I think these games offer a lot to be excited for. From Mafia Definitive Edition, Marvel Avengers, Iron Harvest looks great, Kingdoms of Amalur, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, Spelunky 2, Necromunda Underhive Wars, the Outer Worlds DLC, Inertial Drift. There's just a lot of unique stuff and a lot of diverse stuff as well. You've got something from everybody here. You've got, your big budget title in Marvel's Avengers. You've got a remaster of an awesome RPG in Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. You got a DLC for an RPG. You got tactical RPGs. You've got RTS in Iron Harvest. Just a lot of cool stuff. So definitely stuff for everyone to check out. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.